We are back on Taking Care of Business on Current Radio, News Talk, 1180, 1230 KGEO, 1410 KERI, 1000 KKIM in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and now on the Internet on knookmedium.com, serving Richmond, Oakland, and the San Francisco Bay Area. You know, I have to tell you, it's days like this I love having a radio program. I start out with Barry Goldwater Jr., have a great conversation with him, and then I get to talk to one of my favorite guests who we've had on several times before, the former Libertarian VP candidate for president, author of The Ultimate Obama Survival Guide, and President Obama's classmate at Columbia, Wayne Allyn Root.
Hey,
Wayne,
Marty, how are you?
Good, Wayne. How are you?
Very good. Tired, worn out, just spent 2 days. Actually, it's funny, you were talking to Barry Goldwater Jr., and I forgot to mention to you that I spent the last 2 days in Scottsdale, Arizona, his home base.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, I was shooting a TV infomercial that'll be run, a 30-minute TV show that'll be run on Fox News and Fox Business and CNBC and Christian networks all over this country. And the company happens to be based in Phoenix, and we shot the show in Scottsdale, and I just got back late last night. So here I am with you now.
Well, what you got to do is you got to send me the information as far as when it's going to be on, and we'll air it for you as far as, you know, giving you a little publicity for it.
You got it.
Hey, and, you know, and it's funny because Barry, you know, I live in Tehachapi, and Barry Goldwater is going to be up there near the end of the month, so we were talking about getting together. He used to be my congressman when I lived in the Valley many, many years ago.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so small world. So I understand you guys are having a 20-year class reunion at Columbia, and President Obama is going to be there, and you know, he'll meet his fellow students he never met before.
Yeah, I think we'd all love that because none of us has ever seen him in our lives. So that would be quite an interesting get-together. We'd all be asking him the same question. Where were you in 1981, 82? You were our classmate, but nobody ever saw you. No one ever heard of you. There's not a soul that knows you existed. You didn't leave a footprint. How could that be? How did you graduate, Barry? I think that's what we'd say.
Well, you know, when I saw 1983, I thought, oh, that's 30 years ago. So, yeah, it's time for a reunion.
but I mean, just think about it. You know, it's just so odd. It's such a strange mystery. Can you imagine going on to become president of the United States of America and nobody remembers you? That's not possible if you were there.
No.
It's just not possible. So it's pretty strange stuff. I don't think it's possible if you became the president of, you know, Walmart, that nobody would remember you. People in your class would say, wow, I knew the president of Walmart.
Right.
I knew the president of Bank of America.
Uh-huh.
But the president of the United States of America, and there's nobody in Columbia that ever saw the guy. And when he's asked about it, by the way, it's not like he doesn't know there's a problem. He's before he ever was elected president, he was asked, why did none of your classmates at Columbia remember you? This is the media asking him. And Obama's answer was, I was a hermit in those days. I was very antisocial, and I basically hid in the library all day. Do you really believe things like this, folks?
No.
Come on.
No. Now, what do you think happened? Do you think they just mailed in the stuff, and he just basically got a free pass on everything?
Yeah,
or?
I think he got a free pass in many ways. I'm on the record as saying many times that I think he got into Columbia. You know, it's a fact. All his classmates in high school said he was a lousy student, a slacker, and a pot smoker, and all his classmates at Occidental said he was a lousy student and a straight C student and a pot smoker and a slacker who never went to class. So, first of all, it's impossible he ever could have transferred into Columbia University. Not only would it be impossible to get into Columbia, but transferring in the middle of your junior year is almost zero unless you're a straight A-plus student, number one in your class at Harvard. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, they don't let you transfer into an Ivy League school like Columbia. I went and did the research, and I found out last year in the entire United States, or I should say in the whole world, 3 people were accepted for transfer to Columbia University. 3.
Wow.
And I guarantee you all 3 were number 1 at Oxford, number 1 at Harvard, number 1 at Yale. So the fact that a slacker, pot smoker, C student from an average college called Occidental would be allowed to transfer to Columbia are zero. So I think he got in by portraying himself as an Indonesian foreign student, because we all know, you know, forget all that birther stuff. I have nothing to do with that. But as far as Indonesia, he lived there for 5 years with his mom and his stepdad.
Sure.
And he went to Indonesian schools. And to go to Indonesian schools, you have to register as an Indonesian citizen. You cannot be an American. They won't allow you in public schools in Indonesia. So they made him a citizen of Indonesia, and I'm sure he used his passport and his school records to get into Columbia as an edge to say, I'm not like other students. He got in under a different path, that of a foreign student, and they wanted to brag they had an Indonesian student. So number one, he got in a way that is basically illegal because he was lying because he's an American.
Sure.
So he committed fraud and said, I'm a foreign student. And then number two, the guy probably never showed up at class. You can get away with that at a fancy Ivy League school, and just showed up for finals every year, slipped in the back of the room, took his exams, got his gentleman's C, and left. I think that's probably what happened. And so, you've got a guy who's got a track record, Marty, of being, a liar and a slime ball and a fraud who makes up stories to get into college and then doesn't want to do the work once he gets in. And now let's fast forward 30 years. He's a liar. He's a slime ball. He's a fraud who lied to everyone about keeping your health insurance. He's lied about everything, and that's why the country's in disarray. And he's still a slacker who wants to play golf and travel the world on the taxpayer's bill without paying a bill himself. That's Barack Obama. He's never changed one bit.
We're having a conversation with former Libertarian VP candidate, author Wayne Allyn Root.
And let's mention the name of my book, by the way, because every interview is fruitless if you don't mention the name of your book.
The ultimate
Obama Survival Guide, the third highest ranked conservative book in the United States of America for the last year, the Ultimate Obama Survival Guide, available at Amazon.com. If I don't get that shameless plug in, my publisher wants to kill me, so I got to do that every time.
Wayne,
okay?
we will get it in 3 or 4 times before the end of
good.
the interview. But listen, I got to tell you, you really need to come out of your shell when it comes to Obama. You really, you got to tell us how you really feel.
And by the way, the feeling's mutual. I know I get under his skin because I had 4 years of IRS attacks with Obama as president. I beat them all.
Have you really? 4 years?
Yeah, my lawyer says he's never seen anything like it in his life. I've got the best tax lawyer in America. Had to spend, God knows how many tens of thousands at this point to defend myself. Won every single time. Don't owe a dime. IRS agrees on that. Didn't do anything wrong. IRS agrees on that. 100% cleared. IRS agrees on that. But the point is, Obama sent them to come after me. That's so clear. It's the same. What makes it so clear is, number one, the way the attacks happened, Marty. They were so vicious and so overwhelming, and their goal was to try and destroy me. And everyone involved said, this is political. Someone has ordered them to come after you. And then it's so clear because just the other day, a guy went on Fox News 2 weeks ago and said, I have terminal stage 4 cancer, and Obamacare has taken away my insurance, and they've basically, they're killing me. They're going to kill me. And this is all Obama's fault, and I voted for him. And within 3 days, IRS audit. This guy is
for this guy? Are you serious?
Being. He's a bully. He's a tyrant. He's a dictator. He's using the IRS to try and defeat anybody and destroy anybody who badmouths him in the media. He doesn't want anyone to say a disparaging word about him. That's called a tyrant. That's not America, and someone's got to stop him, Marty. He needs to be perp-walked out of the White House in handcuffs because he's a criminal.
Well, Wayne, do you feel the media starting to desert him now? Because, nobody wants to be, shuffling chairs on the Titanic. I mean,
Well, they're deserting him a little. I won't say deserting. They're pulling back a little bit carefully because they don't want to be associated with his disaster. So they're waiting to see how bad it gets, and they will desert him like a rat if it gets bad enough. But the reality is right now, I wouldn't say they're deserting him. I would just say they're being cautious, and they're pulling back a little because they don't want to look like they idolize the guy who's destroyed the entire healthcare system of America and left 100 million people in the next year without health insurance. So they're a little scared, but they're not abandoning yet. Believe me, they're still trying to protect him as best they can because they're all a bunch of communists. Let me be very clear. The media's filled with communists and Marxists and socialists, and they love Obama and they idolize Obama, and they're not going away so quickly, trust me.
Yeah, well, it's funny. One thing I learned in media, in the very beginning was when you really talk about people's pocketbook is when you really get their attention. And, this is hitting people in the pocketbook. I mean, I'm an insurance agent, and I was doing a quote for a friend of mine in Colorado, and Obamacare, the price actually doubled over the same exact coverage. Well, actually, there's a little more bells and whistles on the Obamacare that he doesn't need.
Well, listen, if the media doesn't remind you, people don't know what's going on. So, when you talk about doubling, what do I instantly think of? Gas prices have doubled under Barack Obama.
Yeah.
When they went up even a little bit under a Republican like Bush or Reagan, the media howled. It's because they love the oil companies, Republicans. It's because of the donations they get. They allow oil prices to go up. And I tried to explain to everybody that in the free market, in a system called capitalism, the president has nothing to do with the price of gas. Right. It has to do with the oil companies. It has to do with supply and demand. It has to do with the stock market. It has to do with the commodities market, people buying and selling oil. That's what makes oil go up, not a president. So under a Republican, they blame the president, even though he has nothing to do with it. Under a Democrat, where he does have something to do with it, because Obama hates oil companies and tries to stop them from drilling, stop them from fracking, stop nuclear, and kill the coal business and put it out of business. He really is to blame for the doubling of prices, and the same media doesn't say a thing, so that people blame the oil companies, not the guy.
Exactly.
Isn't that amazing? The disparity and the hypocrisy is breathtaking.
Yeah, it's amazing. When we come back from the break, let's talk more about healthcare and about your book.
Okay, you got it.
We'll be back in a moment on Current Radio News Talk 1180.